We are here on the 1 hour time frame on EURUSD, and as we can clearly see, the market is consolidating and waiting for its next big move. Dropping up into the daily time frame, we can see that the market overall retraced up higher in towards pretty much what is the overall buy before the sell, and that is currently what we are reacting to with a downside push. Now, overall, before getting into any kind of setup of this sort, we want to see a little bit more confirmation, at least from my end. Personally, I always want to see equal highs get taken out. So, for example, this high over here get taken out. As you can see, we just stayed right underneath it, and then get the overall bearish confirmation in the form of a change of character or whatsoever. Now, at the moment, the change of character low is positioned over here, change of character high is positioned over here. So I'm waiting for that high to get taken out, then this to become the low, and then to get into a potential short position. For myself, at the moment, it is too early to get into shorts. I'll be waiting for my overall bearish confirmation. Even on the 1 hour time frame, we can again clearly see that the overall sell here before the big buy up is still in control, and therefore I would definitely not short from here. The only kind of like early short that you could take is if the current fractal low breaks on the 1 hour, and then we get the overall entry model. But for myself, I'll be waiting for the 4 hour time frame. Now, at the moment, what we can clearly see here is that the high that we have here at the top, so the current fractal high, that is a high that was established on Friday. Now, what I preferably really want to see is that overall high get swiped before looking for a downside push, because this here is our NFP high. And most of the times those NFP highs or those NFP lows, those will get swiped before giving us a good trade opportunity. Now, just to give you guys a little bit more background information, the weekly time frame here made a very steep retracement in towards the overall towards the overall premium pricing, and more specifically around the 786 fib retracement level. So we've seen a substantial retracement. Going into the weekly further, we can then see, okay, underneath this area of supply, which is again a buy before sell down, we have a liquidity high, also known as a little bump in the road. Now, every single time your USD comes into a liquidity high or a little bump in the road, you see a downside push. Here it's happening again, downside push. Now, the thing is, there is going to be a shorting opportunity in my opinion. At the moment, the overall buy before the sell that is here is currently in control. You could also take the entire buy before the sell like this one, and that is the overall buy before the sell that caused this overall fractal break on the weekly time frame. Therefore, for myself, it makes sense to look for a further downside push. Go drop down into the daily, we can then obviously refine that overall weekly area of supply into this daily area of supply. Well, then you see, okay, the daily supply zone has now been hit. So that is a good sign. Initial sellers are probably coming in towards the market. So what I'm now eyeing up is, however, one more push up. That would be really ideal for me. Take out these descending highs, get a push up, fractal, boom, boom, boom. This is currently what I'm waiting for. If it pushes up even higher, also perfectly fine. We get kind of like this ascending pattern. That will also provide me with a potential shorting opportunity. At the moment, I'm not really interested in longs, despite the overall daily swing structure being bullish, just because I'm considering the overall higher time frame being the weekly at the moment to be stronger. And furthermore, here on the daily time frame, there are no clear areas of demand, which in my opinion can cause this full-blown reversal in towards the highs. Last of all, I always expect as well an NFP low to get swiped, as I see this here as a news low and this here as a fake demand zone. So eventually I want to be targeting these overall lows. Now, moving onwards into the dollar index. What has the dollar index been doing? Well, the dollar index has kind of, let's say, tried to form somewhat of a support level. Now, at the moment, the difference between the dollar index and your USD, or let's say the thing that they have in common, is that the NFP highs and lows still need to get swept. So this overall NFP high for me is the next target for the dollar index, which I'm looking to get hit. At the moment, maybe one more push down here on the dollar is what we could see. As you can kind of see, I marked out this low over here. You can see very clearly that we get pretty much free drives in towards that low there with a 1, a 2, and a 3, and then boom, reversal in towards the highs. If you watch the videos more regularly, you'll know that that is a descending channel or descending wedge that is playing out. Overall, that is causing the reversal for now. Now, preferably, however, I would really want to see that low get swept, but it's perfectly fine. I'll be keeping an eye on your USD, and that's going to be the main confluence factor, because for now, the dollar index here is inside an area of daily demand. And also from a weekly perspective, it is weekly fractal bullish. That means that on the weekly time frame, our area of demand is now this over here. And as long as that weekly demand zone holds, I am looking for a next further upside push here on the dollar index. We broke and retested this descending trend line, and yeah, I'm simply just looking for the overall continuation now to take place, just keeping in mind that maybe we could see one more drive down lower in towards again those lower levels of the dollar index, and then see that next push up, drawing in a Fibonacci retracement tool. Let's see, where is the 0.5 fib? Yeah, we're now stalling around the 0.5 fib. So let's see if we can just get a little bit more liquidity by swiping these lows before then looking for the real reversal in towards the upside. Going into AUDUSD, AUDUSD is also looking pretty interesting. Overall, the 1 hour time frame, I'm waiting for the NFP high actually still to get swept. So I'm looking for another upside push here on AUDUSD before looking for another sell-off. Again, it could sell off at any point in time, but then it's likely that we're going to see another bounce up before then, for example, heading down lower or higher. Main reason being is because you want to again see both news wicks get taken out, so both the NFP high and the NFP low. Preferably, I would see Aussie dollar push up higher in towards again the overall buy for the sell here on the daily fractal, which is bearish, and in towards the 0.5 fib here on the daily fractal, which would align with, for example, this daily imbalance candle that we have positioned over here. So I'm kind of looking for that drive up on AU to then look for a potential sell, and then the highest probability sells, in my opinion, will come once we take out these descending highs and then get the change of character in towards the downside. Obviously, that doesn't need to happen. Taking out this liquidity of the news itself and then tapping into that supply zone, that is of course also enough to look for the sell. But these are kind of like the two sell opportunities that I'm looking at on AU. Going into GU, GU itself is or has started to move down lower. It kind of resonates with what I explained yesterday within Discord. So if you're not in there, make sure to check out the comment section of this video. I've dropped a link there for you to join. You can clearly see here, and it becomes more clear on the 1 hour time frame, that the last and final wick before this clean move up here, that has been taken out yesterday on around the New York Open, and then we get the 1 hour change of character down. For now, that caused some downside pressure, but I'm still taking into account that the dollar index might not yet be ready. Therefore, I'll be waiting for the 4 hour to give me more confirmation. I would prefer one more kind of like tag up for the overall sell-off in towards the downside. But if the current fractal low on the 4 hour breaks, then we could already take into account that the sell-off might be ready to occur. As yesterday on GU, we already took out the NFP high and we took out a lot of liquidity that was resting here. Therefore, I would be happy with shorts, but I'm just going to wait for a little bit more confirmation in the form of this 4 hour fractal break and then look for the sell-off instead of already getting into sells. And otherwise, if it pushes up higher, perfectly fine. I'll just be looking for sells from those higher levels. So yeah, that's what I have for GU, and then preferably obviously from this overall buy for the sell that we have positioned over here. Then going into NZDUSD, we can see that NZDUSD is already selling off from the overall buy for the sell. This for me, the main target is just this overall green box here, which is underneath the overall range low. Again, range high, and now we have the range low that we're targeting. So I'm just looking for the overall sell-off to take place on this thing. Preferably, we would see more liquidity get swept, but this is the perfect example of liquidity already getting swept off of that NFP candle. So that's here, let's say this box, and this is what I'm waiting for on those other pairs. This box represents the high or the zone above the overall NFP wick, and then you can see we just wicked out those people, and then boom, it sells off. And for now, the 1 hour order flow is bearish. So I would already be happy if I'm in a sell. This is kind of like my primary sell for now, as it's grabbed the most liquidity and also given a 1 hour double fractal break. So yeah, keep an eye on those further shorts, because if the dollar does start pushing, then NU is, in my opinion, the better bet. But again, preferably I'll be waiting for like GU to play out, as I'm a big fan of GU shorts. Then we go into USD Swiss, USD Yen and Gold. USD Swiss started to retrace up higher from that area of daily demand. For this pair, I am indeed looking for the overall upside continuation, but I would prefer for us to take out the low one more time over here and then look for the upside push, because I want that NFP low preferably as liquidity to get taken out before the real reversal up starts. So that is what I would be waiting for. If it already rockets off, perfectly fine. USDJPY, what are we seeing there? It's currently stalling here at a discount within the overall 50% body candlesticks. We can clearly see here that the 50% body candles are acting as an area of demand here as the market is slowing down. For now, the overall fractal remains bullish in between the current fractal low and the current fractal high. For myself, there is still liquidity resting here within the green zone before the high probability shorts come into play, in my opinion. But let's see what the daily fractal does. If the daily fractal does break, then maybe some short-term shorts back down to take out these ascending lows. That would be an opportunity that we could take a trade on. But for now, I'm looking more for kind of like a little rebound back in towards the highs, yeah, for us to potentially trade that. But yeah, you can see 4-hour fractal kind of shifted in here, but not a lot of momentum yet. So I would wait for a little bit more momentum to kick in within this area of daily demand. And then last of all, of course, we have gold. Gold itself, I'm looking for potential short opportunity. We can clearly see here that we're coming into the region of resistance. And every single time we come there, we start rejecting. Now, overall, we've seen a bullish daily fractal break. So the current fractal low, current fractal high. This here is your demand zone. Now, preferably, I would see a sell-off happen in the near future here on gold. We've pretty much come above, let's say, all of these descending highs. So descending high 1, 2, 3, 4. Taken all of those out, and I'm now looking to identify potential shorts. For now, this supply zone remains in control. Preferably, we'd even take out that supply zone itself and then get the overall shift in market structure. And that would look something like this, where we get a 1, 2, 3 in towards the overall highs. But let's see. For now, the 1-hour fractal remains bullish, but once the 4-hour fractal shifts, then maybe a short. But the highest probability shorts again will come with one more drive in towards the highs. Then we break the 4-hour fractal low, and then we look for the 1-hour shorting opportunity back in towards the downside, towards those NFP lows. That is what I'll be keeping an eye on. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day. This afternoon, we're going live on YouTube, so make sure to be there, and see you soon.